All right, buckle up because today we're diving into the world of Gary Brodsky.
Oh, Gary Brodsky.
You know, the self-proclaimed dating expert?
Right, right.
Yeah, we've been going through his two-part audio series.
Okay.
And
Interesting.
let me tell you, it's a wild ride.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's definitely not your typical dating advice.
I too.
It's less about like genuine connection and more about,
I was going to say,
well, let's just say Gary has a very specific goal in mind.
yeah. His perspective is definitely unique,
Yeah.
and we're gonna break down his key arguments and things.
Yeah.
But remember, we're here to analyze, not endorse.
Right.
Think of it as like a fascinating glimpse
A fascinating glimpse.
into one man's very strategic,
Strategic.
and let's be honest, kind of unconventional approach to dating.
Unconventional for sure.
Yeah.
So one of the things that Gary really emphasizes is
Right.
the power of words.
Words.
He believes words are incredibly powerful tools,
Mm-hmm.
and not just for like basic communication. He sees them as a way to create sexual tension and desire.
Right. It's like,
Almost like verbal seduction.
Yeah, it's fascinating because he seems to operate
Okay.
under this assumption that, conversations are primarily a means to an end,
Okay.
and that end is always physical intimacy
Right.
rather than building any kind of genuine connection with someone.
He even says, and I quote, "Words have created and built great civilizations.
Oh, wow.
Gigantic businesses started religions."
So you're saying
Yeah.
getting a date
Getting a date is right up there.
is like,
Building the pyramids.
right, building the pyramids. Yeah,
According to Gary, yeah.
that's fascinating.
So, and the key to wielding this verbal power, according to Gary,
Okay.
lies in what he calls identity.
Identity, okay.
He believes having an unshakable, unwavering personality
Yeah.
is the foundation of attraction.
Right.
It's about being resistant to change, almost like a force of nature.
Like almost like you're
Not
you're
gonna
not going to change
waver for anyone.
for anyone.
Right.
So basically become a rock star. Got it.
Yeah, or like a
He actually name drops Eminem and 50 Cent as examples.
oh wow.
I mean, they're talented guys.
Well, I mean,
I'm not sure I'd take dating advice from them.
he's like clumsily trying to make a point about confidence, I guess, and
Yeah.
self-assuredness being attractive.
Right.
But there's a big difference between genuine confidence and the kind of inflexible, almost arrogant persona that
Yeah.
Gary seems to advocate for.
Yeah, and he lays out his wisdom in something he calls the 10 Commandments of talking to women.
The 10 Commandments. All right.
And it's this bizarre mix of practical tips
Mm-hmm.
and then just some truly eyebrow-raising suggestions.
Interesting.
He's really, really big on smiling.
Oh, okay.
Like really big on smiling.
Like all the time, you mean?
All the time.
Interesting.
He talks about a patient in an insane asylum type of smile.
So, I don't know. Take that as you will.
Smiling can be good advice,
Right.
generally, but he takes it to this
Yeah.
almost theatrical level.
Yeah.
He thinks it projects
Right.
an image of being fun and approachable, which to an extent it can.
It can.
But if you're constantly forcing a grin, it might have the opposite effect.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And then some of his other commandments are a little more down to earth,
Okay.
like using a woman's name,
Okay.
offering compliments, but not too many,
Right. Right.
and then kind of changing up how much attention you give her
Mhm.
to keep her on her toes.
These are like classic playing hard to get tactics.
Exactly.
Right. It's about control,
Yeah.
keeping the woman off balance,
Totally.
which, really aligns with his whole philosophy of dominance in dating.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
But then there are some real head scratchers in these commandments.
Okay. Like what?
Like he's really adamant about learning to dance.
Learning to dance.
I enjoy a good two-step as much as anyone.
Sure.
But is that really the secret to unlocking a woman's heart?
I don't know.
And then there's this obsession with expensive cologne.
Oh, okay.
Apparently women are powerless against a good scent.
I mean, scent can be attractive,
It can be.
but I don't know if it's like the be-all and end-all.
Right. And he also advises against talking too much.
Oh, really?
He says women love to talk and men should mostly listen.
Well, I mean, being a good listener is definitely important.
Absolutely.
But Gary's version of this feels less about genuine interest
Yeah.
and more about making the woman do all the work
Right.
while you strategically throw out compliments.
Right.
Charm.
It's so calculated.
Yeah.
Like he even cautions against directly asking for a woman's number.
Really? What does he say to do?
Instead, he suggests saying something like, "Is there a number I can reach you at?"
Oh, Why?
Why? Because it supposedly makes her feel less pressure
Okay.
and avoids a direct no.
I mean, that's just like, word games.
It's all so calculated.
So we're seeing a pattern here, right?
Totally.
Of manipulation.
Yes.
And control kind of disguises smooth talking.
Smooth talking.
He's using language not to connect with someone,
Right.
but to disarm them
Mm-hmm.
and maneuver them into a position where they're more likely to
Go along with it.
with his desires.
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
so far, so Gary.
Yeah.
But things get even more interesting
Well.
when we dig into his deeper techniques.
Oh.
This is where those red flags really start waving.
Yeah, exactly. So what does he say?
So he gives advice like never talking negatively about your life or your job,
Okay.
always appearing busy,
Right.
and never ever bringing up exes.
Okay, so at first glance, this might just seem like,
Right.
harmless self-promotion.
Harmless.
But there's something deeper.
Deeper.
And I think more problematic going on here.
Yeah. More problematic.
Yeah.
He's basically saying you should present
Right.
this
fine.
curated,
Like a
idealized version of yourself.
right, like a fake version?
Yeah, rather than being genuine.
Right. And I feel like that would be
Well, and he says, if you act and believe positively about something,
oh boy.
it is going to come true.
Okay, I'm all for positive thinking,
Sure.
but pretending everything's perfect when it's not
Right.
is just setting yourself up for disaster.
Totally.
Yeah.
Right. And this lack of authenticity
Yeah.
extends to his views on expressing emotions.
Oh, alpha.
He's completely against revealing your feelings, especially early on.
Really?
He thinks it makes you seem weak
Okay.
and gives the woman too much power.
Interesting.
It creates this dynamic where
Oh.
emotional honesty and intimacy are actively discouraged.
Wow, that's kind of the opposite
Kind of the opposite of what you would.
of what you would want, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And he loves unpredictability.
Unpredictability.
He wants you to constantly keep the woman guessing
Okay.
by changing your behavior.
So it's like
Yeah.
you can't be yourself, you have to be like
Yeah.
this other persona.
He even has advice on like wearing nice shoes
Oh, okay.
and adopting like an arrogant walk
Wow.
to make yourself seem more attractive.
This is all about
Yeah.
projecting power and control,
It's all about power and control,
even if it's completely fake.
even if it's completely fake.
Which begs the question,
Right.
if you have to constantly create
Right.
this fake image of who you are,
Yeah.
is that really attraction?
Right.
Or just a performance?
It's a performance.
Yeah, Gary's approach seems to prioritize
winning.
over genuine connection.
Right.
And that's where the ethical concerns really come into play.
Yeah. It's a lot.
Yeah.
So we've unpacked his 10 commandments,
Okay.
his emphasis on identity,
Right.
and some of his kind of manipulative communication techniques.
Yeah, and it's just so striking how much of his advice centers around control,
Control.
creating a specific image
Yes.
and using language strategically to achieve
A desired outcome?
a desired outcome.
Yeah.
It's not exactly a recipe for building
Healthy.
balanced relationships.
Yeah, no, not at all.
No.
But we're only halfway through.
Oh.
There's a whole other part to this audio series.
So what's next?
In part 2, we're going to dive into his second recording,
Okay.
where he doubles down
Wonderful.
on this idea of control,
More control.
especially through what he calls the power of decision.
The power of decision. Okay.
Get ready, because things are about to get even more interesting.
I'm a little scared, but also intrigued
Yeah, me
to
too.
hear what he says next.
All right, well, we'll be back with part 2 soon.
Looking forward to it.
Okay, so we're back and ready to tackle part 2 of Gary's dating advice.
All right, let's hear it.
Well, right off the bat, he's still really hung up on this idea that women are constantly testing men.
Testing them.
Testing them, yeah.
Interesting.
And basically the only way to like succeed in dating is to pass those tests with flying colors.
So it's like it's almost like he envisions dating as
Obstacle course.
an obstacle course, right?
Yes.
Where you're constantly being judged.
Judged and evaluated.
Devaluated, yeah.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't sound very relaxing.
No, not at all. It's kind of a...
He even says, it is easier to steal somebody else's girl than to keep your own.
Oh.
I mean, come on, that's
a pretty troubling statement.
It is.
And it definitely raises some ethical red flags for me.
Yeah.
It completely disregards the woman's agency in all of this.
Right, like she's
And it reduces her to
a prize to be won.
a prize to be won. Yeah.
Instead of like a person with her own thoughts and feelings.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And his solutions to these so-called tests are often about,
okay.
deflecting responsibility, avoiding vulnerability.
Right. Never apologizing.
It all feels very
Guarded and emotionally detached.
guarded and emotionally detached, yeah.
Yeah.
Like he's encouraging men to create this persona of aloofness and indifference. Even if they're genuinely interested in the woman,
right.
It's all about projecting strength and unwavering self-assurance. Even if it's not authentic.
Right. Like he tells this story about a woman complaining about her ex-boyfriend, and his advice is basically to just like brush it off and change the subject.
Okay.
He even says, don't get pulled down into her negative stories. Avoid them and cut them off.
That just shows a real lack of empathy, I think.
Yeah.
He's failing to see, women as complex individuals, right?
Right, with their own
experiences and emotions.
Yeah.
And instead he's reducing them to stereotypes.
Assuming they're all playing these manipulative games.
And he even suggests making light of her problems.
Ooh.
He says, if she starts getting into her problems, make light of her problems.
Oh, wow.
You've got to be a source of amusement, but not a fool.
So again, it's all about
keeping that emotional distance.
Right.
Right.
Avoiding any real connection or vulnerability.
Yeah, this isn't about building a genuine relationship. It's about, like,
winning a game. It's a game.
Yeah. Interesting.
Okay, so while a lot of Gary's advice is about this kind of internal game of dominance and control, he also offers some very specific tips for creating a more attractive persona.
Okay.
And let's just say they're a bit
Let's hear it.
unconventional.
Okay.
He suggests developing a slightly arrogant, upright walk.
A slightly arrogant walk.
If you have your chest out, shoulders back.
Interesting.
And this goes back to his belief.
Yeah. That physical presence and dominance are key to attracting women.
Like an alpha male kind of thing.
Yeah, he even compares it to the military.
Oh, wow.
Saying it makes you appear wider and stronger.
It's interesting, like he's equating physical size with attractiveness.
Yeah, and he talks about dressing well.
Okay, dressing well.
Claiming that women automatically assume well-dressed men are successful and in control.
Okay, I mean, first impressions do matter, but Gary seems to be equating style with substance.
Yeah, it's like he's saying you need to project this image of success and power.
Right.
Even if it's not genuine.
Yeah, so it's about
creating a facade.
Rather than developing real confidence.
Then self-esteem.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he makes this bizarre comparison to gay men.
Gay men, all right.
Saying, why do you think women find gay men attractive?
Oh, boy.
Because they dress nice.
Okay, that's completely unfounded.
I know.
And honestly, a little offensive.
Yeah, it's offensive.
That statement just relies on stereotypes
Yeah.
and really outdated notions of masculinity.
Yeah, it's clear that his views are rooted in some pretty traditional and potentially harmful gender roles.
Right.
He even suggests taking a stack of books to the bathroom with you on a date.
To the bathroom?
Yeah. Hi, just to be funny.
I don't.
I mean, I can appreciate a good sense of humor, but that just seems awkward and try hard.
It feels like another one of his contrived attempts to create this this quirky, unpredictable persona.
Unpredictable, yes.
Right. It's about standing out, even if it means being intentionally strange.
Right. And speaking of unpredictable, he advises against being predictable.
Right.
Saying, women love men they cannot predict.
Okay.
Women hate predictable men.
So you have to keep them guessing. Is that what he's saying?
Keep them guessing, yeah.
So it's back to that control thing again.
Control and mystery.
And mystery, it's as if he believes a genuine, consistent personality isn't enough.
Not enough to be attractive. Yeah, and then he has this weird fixation on women's shoes.
Shoes? What does he say?
Saying, for some insane reason, women care about a guy's shoes.
I mean, I get it. A nice pair of shoes can complete an outfit, but...
Right, but is that really a
deal breaker?
The deal breaker, yeah.
It seems like Gary's overly focused on these superficial details.
Yes.
And believes women are easily swayed by external factors.
Yeah.
Like clothing and accessories.
Yeah, it's a pretty reductive view.
Very reductive, yeah.
Of what women find attractive.
For sure.
It's interesting, though, because despite all this talk about dominance and control, he does offer some surprisingly insightful advice.
Really? Like what?
About being positive and enthusiastic.
Okay, so like...
He emphasizes projecting happiness and self-assuredness.
And, you know, there's definitely truth to the idea.
Right.
That a positive attitude can be contagious.
Right. He even says, if you act and believe positively about something, it is going to come true.
Okay, I don't know if I'd go that far, but I do think a positive mindset can make a big difference.
Absolutely.
In how you approach dating.
And life in general.
And life in general, right?
Right, exactly.
The key difference, though, is authenticity.
Authenticity.
Right. It's one thing to cultivate a positive outlook.
Right.
But it's another to force it.
To force it.
Especially if you're not genuinely feeling it.
Right. And he also encourages men to be entertaining and charming, suggesting that, you know, women want to be swept off their feet by a man who can make them laugh and feel special.
I mean, that's not bad advice in itself.
No, it's not bad advice.
But again, with Gary, it seems to lack...
Depth.
Depth, right.
Yeah. It's more about
performing a role.
Performing a role.
Than being a genuine partner.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he also suggests ending conversations on a high note. Leaving the woman wanting more.
Interesting.
Now, I understand not wanting to, like, overstay your welcome.
Sure.
But Gary's approach feels...
Calculated. Yeah, it's about creating a sense of scarcity.
Right.
And making yourself appear more desirable.
Right. It's all...
Strategy
rather than genuine connection.
Genuine connection, yeah.
Yeah.
So... in this second part, he really dives deeper into, like, the manipulation tactics and creating this almost superhuman persona.
Almost superhuman, yeah. It's a lot to take in.
It's a lot.
To say the least.
So what stands out to you from this part?
Well, we're seeing, I think, a continuation of that emphasis on control.
Control, yeah.
Lack of respect for women's individuality.
Absolutely.
And this constant need
to project a certain image.
Which is really interesting. Okay, so up next, we're going to wrap up our deep dive by tackling Gary's list of 15 mistakes men make when talking to women.
15 mistakes, all right.
Stay tuned for the grand finale.
I'm ready.
And some hopefully more grounded advice. Okay, so we're back for the grand finale of our Gary Brodsky deep dive.
All right, bring it on.
We have explored his views on control, manipulation, and crafting that super attractive persona.
The superhuman.
Now, get ready for rapid-fire Gary wisdom as we tackle his list.
Oh, boy.
Of 15 mistakes men make when talking to women.
15 mistakes. Okay.
You know, as you might expect, a lot of these mistakes tie back to those themes we've already discussed.
Right, like what?
Seeking approval, appearing desperate, letting the woman take control of the conversation.
Right, all that stuff.
All that stuff.
Okay.
He sees all of this through the lens of maintaining dominance and avoiding any perceived weakness.
Okay, so let's hear some of these mistakes.
All right, so first up, we've got the dreaded dead space.
Dead space.
Gary considers any lull in the conversation
a
major fail.
Really?
His solution, keep those open-ended questions coming.
Keep them talking.
Keep them talking, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Even if it feels like an interrogation.
So it's not really about...
He actually says, open-ended questions make women talk and go into details which women love.
I mean, I guess some people do love to talk, but...
Sure, but it doesn't sound like he's encouraging, like, actual interest in what a woman has to say.
No, it's more about...
It's more about...
controlling the conversation.
Controlling the conversation, yeah.
Keeping things moving so she doesn't...
She doesn't have a moment to think.
To think, right. And maybe realize she'd rather be talking to someone else.
Gary's advice often prioritizes these short-term gains over building any kind of real connection.
I think you're right. It's all about that kind of surface-level interaction.
Next up, we have the cardinal sin of making a complete fool of yourself.
Making a fool of yourself? How?
According to Gary, this means revealing too much about your feelings.
Oh, feelings.
Or being vulnerable.
You can't be vulnerable.
No, you can't.
According to Gary.
He really warns against burdening the woman with any emotional baggage, saying it will scare her away.
So you got to keep that wall up.
Keep that wall up.
That emotional wall.
It's all about maintaining that facade of strength and emotional detachment.
Right. Even if it means
sacrificing authenticity.
Sacrificing being yourself.
Being yourself.
Yeah.
He even compares a man who expresses his feelings to a child seeking his mother's comfort.
Oh, wow.
Which, come on, that's just...
It's a pretty dismissive analogy.
It is.
And it seems like he views emotional expression as
weakness.
Yeah.
Something that diminishes a man's power and control.
Control. There it is again.
There it is again.
And the word.
In the dating game. Okay, this next one is a familiar theme.
All right, hit me.
Letting the woman take control of the conversation.
Oh, no. Can't do that.
For Gary, that's a one-way ticket
to the
friend zone. Oh, no. He believes women are drawn to men who are assertive and decisive.
So you have to take charge.
Take charge.
Okay.
Any sign of passivity or deference to a woman's wishes is a major turnoff.
So you can't let her make any decisions.
He goes as far as to say women, as well as the laws of nature, hate and despise weakness.
It's a pretty extreme view.
It is.
I would say.
Yeah.
Of how relationships work.
And it's outdated.
Very outdated.
His advice comes from this idea that dating is a zero-sum game.
A zero-sum game.
Where one person has to be in control.
Right. It's not about
partnership or mutual respect.
No, it's
about asserting dominance.
Asserting dominance, right.
Okay, and speaking of dominance, he also warns against becoming the woman's friend.
Oh, no, you can't be friends.
Or being too understanding.
Too understanding.
He believes this will
kill the romance?
Kill any chance of romance.
Okay.
He says, if you understand a woman, as I always say, you are a woman.
That doesn't even make sense.
It's just this, like, illogical statement meant to reinforce the idea that men and women are completely different and can never truly connect.
On an emotional level?
On an emotional level.
Okay.
He even suggests that understanding a woman takes away the mystery and intrigue that fuels attraction.
So it's very superficial.
Very superficial.
Way of looking at things.
It seems like for Gary.
Yeah.
Attraction is all about playing these games and maintaining some distance rather than building genuine intimacy and understanding.
Yeah, it's a very, like, surface level. Approach.
Okay, now, Gary also has some strong opinions about humor.
Humor, okay.
He knows it's important, but he warns against overdoing it.
Okay. Or becoming a clown.
A clown, right?
He believes constantly joking or making a fool of yourself undermines your attractiveness.
Undermines it, so you got to be serious.
You got to have that.
You got to
have serious side.
Right, that air of mystery.
Mystery and control.
And control, right?
He even says no one wants to sleep with a clown.
I mean, he's not wrong, but it's a pretty...
It's a pretty harsh way of putting it.
Yeah, I would say.
His advice often lacks that nuance.
Right, it's all about
following
this set of rules.
Rules and avoiding any behavior that might be perceived as
weak
or unattractive.
Unattractive.
Okay, and lastly, we have invading her space too soon.
Invading her space, okay.
Gary believes men should respect a woman's personal space.
Right.
And not be too touchy-feely, especially early on.
That's fair.
He says, you do not really have the right to invade their space.
Oh.
You can come through their space when it's open.
All right, it's technically true, but...
Yeah, but
it's come across as a bit creepy.
Yeah. His whole approach to physical intimacy lacks that.
Respect for boundaries.
Respect for boundaries and consent.
Consent, yeah.
It's all about...
seizing the moment.
Seizing the moment.
Rather than building trust.
Rather than building trust and understanding.
Yeah.
He views physical intimacy as
a goal
to achieve.
Not an expression
of genuine connection.
Genuine connection.
Or affection.
Or affection, yeah.
Well, there you have it.
Wow.
A complete breakdown of Gary Brodsky's 15 mistakes men make when talking to women.
That was a lot.
It was a lot. And as we've seen throughout our deep dive, his advice is often problematic.
Yeah.
Ethically questionable.
I'd say.
And lacking in respect for women.
Right.
As individuals.
It doesn't seem like he really sees them as whole people.
No, he frames dating as this game.
To be one.
A constant power struggle.
Where the man always has to be in control.
In control, yeah.
It's a very transactional approach.
Transactional, I like that word.
That ultimately doesn't lead to fulfilling relationships.
No, I don't think so.
So if you're looking for advice on building healthy, respectful, and fulfilling relationships, Gary Brodsky might not be the best source.
Maybe skip this one.
Yeah, I would say so.
So I think what we've learned here is, Gary's perspective is definitely one to be aware of. But it's crucial to approach his advice with a critical eye. And consider the implications of his techniques.
Yeah, and if genuine connection is your goal, Ditch the power plays.
Ditch the power plays.
And focus on building trust, respect, and mutual understanding.
Those are the important things.
Yeah, forget those cheesy pickup lines.
Right.
And just be your authentic self.
Be yourself.
Flaws and all.
That's the best advice.
I think so, too. So here's a final thought to consider.
You okay?
What role does vulnerability play?
Vulnerability.
In building genuine connections?
That's a good question.
It's something Gary actively discourages.
Right.
But perhaps embracing our imperfections is the key to finding lasting love and intimacy.
I think that's a great takeaway.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
This was a wild ride.
Into the mind of Gary Brodsky.
Yeah, definitely interesting.
We'll be back next week with a brand new deep dive.
Looking forward to it.
Into another fascinating topic. Until then, stay curious.